Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome to Home Studies e-learning for the Cambridge English Advanced Certificate. In these videos, I will help you prepare for the writing facet of the examination. Now, most non-native English speakers communicate verbally more than they write, so for many students, this aspect of the exam can be the most challenging. Therefore, often requires the most preparation. Well, luckily we've designed this lesson program to guide you. So in this writing section, I will explain how it is marked and walk you through every form of writing that could be in the exam. And for each type of writing, I'll advise you on how to plan and structure it, tell you about the different conventions, and give you tips to gain better marks and write more efficiently. I will also show you how to connect all of your sentences and paragraphs so that they can flow more smoothly, and demonstrate ways to make your language engaging so that the marker will be hooked. All so that you can write just like William Shakespeare. Okay, well, maybe not just like William Shakespeare, but these e-learning lessons will give you all the tools you need to ace this section of the exam. So let's get started. Thanks for joining us. In this video, we'll take a look at the writing overview, how to understand the writing section. Here, we'll look at the details of the entire writing section. This will include the length and time you have to complete the different parts, and how the test is marked. But before you get started, it's a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit, so you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it to a different device and use it as a highlighting tool for note-taking. The time allotment for the entire writing section is 1.5 hours. That is divided between part 1 and part 2. And as each section is worth the same marks, allow 45 minutes for each section. In regards to the word limit, you'll have to write between 220 and 260 words both for part 1 and 2. This is clearly stated at the top of each section. And a question I'm constantly asked is, what happens if I write less than 220 words or more than 260? Well, if you write under 220 words, the marker will assume you have not included all the required information and do not have the necessary language range. However, if you go over 260 words, the examiner will believe that the text contains extraneous or irrelevant information. Regardless, not staying within the word limit will negatively affect your marks. Now let's have a look at the assessment scale. This is how you are graded, and it is divided into 4 sub-scales: content, language, organization, and communicative achievement. Let's analyze how the writing section is graded. This section is worth 40 marks and is split equally between part 1 and 2, which are both worth 20 marks each. Therefore, each subscale is valued at 5 marks apiece. Now we'll go through, in detail, each of the subscales. In relation to content, you are praised on how well you fulfill the task. This means address all content points. But what are content points? These are what you are specifically asked to do, the questions you are supposed to answer. Keep text relevant, meaning don't digress or go off topic. Ensure the target reader is fully informed. The target reader is the person who, in the context of the writing task, will read your writing. Subscale 2, language. Here you are evaluated on your use of language. Thus, show your grammatical and lexical range, which means use a mixture of simple and complex words and grammatical forms, and demonstrate accuracy regarding vocabulary and grammar. And just to note, if you do make any errors, they have to be related to less common words and grammatical structures, so as not to affect your grade to any large extent. Now it is time for a task. Vocabulary range. This restaurant review has a very limited lexical range. Therefore, upgrade the underlined vocabulary to more interesting words and phrases. Pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the answers. Firstly, we are reviewing a restaurant. However, you should not repeat the word restaurant, as it shows a limited vocabulary range. Thus, you will need to come up with synonyms in order to demonstrate your wide lexicon. Therefore, a range of nouns with a similar meaning is used, such as pizzeria. Now, this is a more specific noun that's related to a specific type of Italian restaurant that we are talking about. Eatery. This is a synonym for a small restaurant. And joint. This is a colloquial term for an establishment such as a bar, a restaurant, or even a hotel. Now let's have a look at the upgrade adjectives. Instead of describing the restaurant as small, cozy was used. Why? Because small, when describing property, has a negative connotation. However, this is a positive review. Therefore, the adjective chosen should reflect this positivity. And cozy has a positive connotation. It does mean small, but it also means warm and comfortable. Lovely. Now, this is a very generic adjective used to describe many things. On the other hand, charming collocates with decoration and places. We use it to describe apartments, houses, and even restaurants. Now, remember to avoid all-encompassing adjectives like good and nice and interesting. Mouth-watering and to die for are both upgrade adjectives on good tasting and tasty. This is because the latter are very simplistic. These adjectives, even A2 students may know. However, the former are more complex compound adjectives. Why is the verb overlooks better than where you can look down on? Because you have to be succinct and concise when you do your writing. If one word can be used instead of 7, then use that word. In the middle of, to describe a location of the restaurant, is very dry and mathematical. On the other hand, in the heart of is very descriptive. It paints a picture in your head. You can feel the pulsating and buzzing of the suburb that is being described, which is great for reviews and descriptive letters. Food and meal. Again, these are very blanket terms. Thus, upgrade to cuisine and dish. In the first review, people was used on multiple occasions. However, people is too generic. Which people are you referring to? In the writing section, you need to be a lot more specific. Therefore, the upgraded review uses words like residents and locals instead. This also indicates that the people who go to this restaurant live in the area, implying that the pizzeria is not a tourist destination. Furthermore, you could have upgraded to words like customer, patron, etc. Review 1 used many people come to when referring to the restaurant. However, Review 2 used pack somewhere out. Now this is an upgrade, as it is a more complicated phrasal verb. It is good to use phrasal verbs in informal letters and sparingly in reviews. Every night is not as good as night after night. Why? Well, night after night makes it seem that people come more frequently. It is an exaggeration. Now, as this is a positive review, this works well. The main attraction is an upgrade on reason people come, as it is concise and is a commonly used phrasal verb in the hospitality industry. The word taste is a more simplistic verb than sample. Many new English learners are unaware that sample can be used as a synonym for taste, so therefore I would use that instead. Now it is time for another task. Grammatical accuracy. This informal letter has a few syntactic inaccuracies. Therefore, correct the underlying grammatical errors in order to gain higher marks. Now pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. Now let's check the answers. Visit to. Now here, we use after every verb or noun that indicates going from one place to another, the preposition to. For example, we walked to the shop, or we went for a drive to the countryside. It's. Now this is a contraction of it is. Therefore, you need an apostrophe. Can. Now, after can or any modal verb, always use an infinitive without the s. Also. Now, also is an introductory phrase. Therefore, it needs a comma after it. A teacher. Well, a teacher is a single noun and is one of many. Therefore, it needs the article language, spelling. Now, the question is, which to use, British or American spelling? Well, the answer is, you can use either. However, be consistent. Use one or the other, not both. Now it is time for some tasks. Which suffix is American and which is British? So now pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. Let's have a look at the answers. The American suffix is OR, whereas the British is OUR. Let's do another one. Which suffix is American and which is British? Pause the video now. Let's take a look at the answers. The British spelling is ENCE. However, the Americans is ENSE. Let's do one more. So, which suffix is American and which is British? Pause the video now. Let's have a look at the answers. The British ends in ISE, whereas American ends in IZE. Now, a general rule of thumb is that the American spelling is more phonetic, meaning that you spell it the way it sounds. The S in the British spelling sounds a bit like a Z, and the Americans spell it that way. So for some people, it's a little easier. Subscale 3, Organization. Now in this subscale, you are judged on your arrangement abilities. So structure your text in a coherent and well-organized way. Use cohesive devices. Now these are tools that you can use to maintain the flow of your sentences. They help smoothly merge one paragraph into another and clearly tie clauses together. Now it's time for a task. Cohesive devices. The report on the right has missing cohesive devices. Therefore, add the devices below to the text. Pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Now let's have a look at the answers. Firstly, now this is a list word. There are many list words such as secondly or lastly. Thus, now this is a sentence connector, so obviously it's used to connect sentences. In this case, thus means consequence, result, or a reason. This. Now this is a pronoun. It is used to link a person, thing, or an idea in this case. Now, the advantage of using these is that you do not have to repeat the same subject over and over again. As. Now, this is a conjunction, and it is used to link clauses together. In this case, as means because. Now that. This is a relative pronoun. In this case, it's used in a defining relative clause. Now, a defining relative clause gives us essential information about the person, thing, or idea that was mentioned previously. Furthermore, now, this is a sentence connector. However, this means additional information. Which. Now, this is a relative pronoun, but in this case, it's used in a non-defining relative clause. Here, it gives extra information about a person, a thing, etc. Subsection 4, Communicative Achievement. Now, in this subsection, you're assessed on your delivery skills. So use the appropriate register or tone of language. So in some types of writing, it needs to be formal, and in others, it needs to be informal. Demonstrate task conventions. Now, there are specific requirements for each type of writing. We will go through those in further videos. You need to communicate your ideas effectively and convincingly. Essentially, you need to make the reader believe what you're writing. Engage the reader, hook them, make them want to actually keep reading, and fulfill all communicative purposes, which means do everything that the task states that you should do. And that's the end of the writing overview. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. I hope it's been illuminating. And before we wrap up, I just want to give you one final tip. Remember to relax. You can achieve good grades by knowing the exam structure. And don't forget to practice activities and quizzes in this module to consolidate the techniques that you've learned. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we'll take a look at Part 1 Overview and Essay Writing, how to write a well-ordered essay. Now this video will include task information, essay conventions, how to demonstrate a wide range of vocabulary using synonyms and rephrasing, a method for structuring paragraphs, creating an action plan, and designing a writing outline. But before you get started, it's a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit so you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it onto a different device and use it as a highlighting tool for note-taking. Task information. Now this section is compulsory, meaning that you have to do it, and it'll always be in the form of an essay. Conventions. Now, the target reader is usually an academic tutor, so this task is written as a follow-up to a lecture, documentary, or even a seminar. Therefore, the register or tone of this writing is both formal and neutral. However, the details of this will be expanded on in a later video. This essay question always contains a topic statement. Now, this is the background or the context of the essay. Now pause the video and read the essay question. What do you think is the topic statement? Now let's have a look at the answer. You have watched a TV debate about which charity organization should receive funding from the government. So the essay is the follow-up to a TV debate. The essay question also contains 3 bullet points. These are the 3 points that you made in the context of the essay, and they are related to the topic statement. Again, pause the video and decide what are the 3 bullet points. And the answer is, which charities should receive funding from the government? Sports and recreation charities, health charities, or human rights charities? Further task information. In the essay question, you will also find 3 personal opinions. These are the beliefs or ideas that you noted down in relation to the 3 bullet points. So again, pause the video and find the 3 personal opinions. And the 3 personal opinions are some opinions expressed in the discussions. We should not spend money on sport, but on health. Cancer charities have helped lots of people and need our support. Human rights issues should be addressed. Lastly, the essay question will have content points. These are the central questions that you must answer. So pause the video and figure out what the content points are. And the content points are: Write an essay discussing 2 of the charities in your notes. You should explain which charity is more important for the government to give money to, giving reasons in support of your answer. Just to reiterate, this is an extremely important point. Write only about 2 of the bullet points, not 3. And you have to state clearly which points are more important or valuable or effective, etc. Finally, you need to justify your opinions. Essentially state why you believe what you believe. Advice. You can use the 3 opinions, but deal with them in a different way. They are essentially just guides. So do not copy directly from the text or exam questions. This is because you will not get marks for copying words and phrases. And, as far as you can, use your own words and phrases. All of this is important as you are graded on demonstrating a variety of vocabulary and grammar. This can be achieved by using synonyms and rephrasing the questions. I will demonstrate this through a series of tasks. So let's try one of those tasks now. Bullet point synonyms. Think of as many words with the same meaning as charity as you can. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. Let's take a look at the answers. NGO, or non-governmental organization, is a partial synonym, as not all NGOs are charities, but you could also write charity NGO. You can also use organization, group, or institution in front of charity in order to diversify your vocabulary, so you don't simply have to repeat the word charity alone. Furthermore, you can work out different parts of language of the word charity. In this case, charitable is the adjective. So you are now able to create synonyms by mixing the adjective with other nouns, such as charitable institution, charitable organization, etc. So, let's try that task again, but this time we're going to be using the noun funding. So, think of as many words with the same meaning as funding. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Now let's see the answers. Again, you can create similar meaning words and phrases by breaking funding into different parts of language. For example, the verb fund. Or you can use the adverb financially with the verb support. You can also use the colloquial phrase, spend money on. Let's do another task. Rephrase opinions. So write the opinion in a different way. Pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, so how could this simple sentence be rephrased? Now, as this is an essay, this sentence will need to be rephrased more formally. Therefore, remove personal pronouns such as I, us, or in this case, we. This is too personal for essays, proposals, and reports. Use rather than at the beginning, which is more formal than but. Replace money with the state's financial resources. Use a synonym for should, which is ought to. Now, this is not really that formal. However, it will demonstrate your lexical range. And finally, instead of writing in the active form, write in the passive. In this case, ought to be funded. Let's do one more task. Write the opinion in a different way. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. Let's check out the answer. Again, avoid us, as it is too personal. Furthermore, us is not specific enough. Formal writing requires specificity. Therefore, the upgraded phrase referred to patience. And once more, the passive was used in the more formal writing, illustrated by many patients have benefited. In the rephrased sentence, thus was used rather than and. This is because thus refers to reason or a consequence, and the second sentence is a result of the idea expressed in the first. Next, require is more formal than need, and governmental financial assistance is more accurate and specific than our support. The C structure. Now, this is my advice on how to structure your paragraphs, which has dramatically improved the writing of many of my students. Now, bear in mind, this is not a hard and fast rule. In fact, I would not use it for every paragraph, as you should mix around the structure to show your structural range. So let's go through the easy-to-follow acronym. Start off with a statement. This is what you think, the central idea you want to express. Then, the explanation. This is why you believe the statement. This is then followed by an elaboration. Here you can add details that further justify your point of view or statement. And finally, an example, which is evidence justifying your opinion. For the CAE exam, the proof does not have to be true. You can make it up, as the examiner wants to see that you can structure a paragraph in a correct way. There is no fact-checking. Now it is time for a task, the C structure. So rearrange the 4 sentences so that they go in the following order: the statement, explanation, elaboration, and example. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. So, let's take a look at that answer. So, we had the first sentence, number 1, it is the central idea. Number 2, this is the reason why you believe the statement. Number 3 is additional information. And number 4 is an example. Now, let's take a look at an action plan. How to construct the entire essay. Firstly, carefully read the question. Decide which 2 points you will discuss. If you have trouble deciding which 2 points to write about, here are a few questions to ask yourself. Which of the 3 bullet points would you find it the easiest to write about? Which do you know the most vocabulary for? And which point do you truly believe is better, correct, etc.? Think about how you will expand on both of your 2 chosen points, the reasons why you think that, and examples to back up those points. Also, ponder how you will compare your points and which one you will state is more important and why. Note down some synonyms and think about rephrasing bullet points and opinions. This will help you to write more smoothly and quickly when you have the vocab at hand. Draw a quick writing outline. I will show you how to do that very soon. And finally, proofread. Allow at least 2 minutes for this. Everyone finds something that they can change. Essay structure convention. Now, it is essential that you arrange your essay into clear paragraphs. It's usually 4. This contains an introduction. Now, this opens the topic and asks the central question presented in the content points. The body paragraph 1. This is an expansion of the first bullet point that you have decided to write about. Body paragraph 2. This is an expansion of the second bullet point that you have decided to expand on. Conclusion. This is a clear explanation of which of the 2 points is more important, better, etc. Now let's go through how to draft a writing outline. You can draw this on a spare piece of paper in the exam before you start writing. This outline is designed to answer the exam question we've been working on previously in the video. A few words of advice before we continue. You only need to make simplistic notes. I usually write it all in the present simple. Just use abbreviations, acronyms, and incomplete sentences, as this is not being marked, as long as you can understand it when you begin writing. So let's begin. Introduction. Always begin loosely, writing around the topic for a sentence or two. In this example, I intend to write about the different types of charities and how they help different people. Then I give 2 examples of charities: Mind, which is a mental health organization, and the Fresh Air Fund, which is a recreation and sports charity, and explain what they do and how they help people. Hence, the writing is getting closer to focusing on the central question, which is, should the state fund health or sports and recreation charities? Following this, I begin with body paragraph 1, where I argue that health charities should receive government money, and expand out why. In this case, I argue that it helps vulnerable people in society. We also need aid organizations more than ever, as we have an aging population. Furthermore, the rise of obesity-related illnesses mean that more young people need more health care in the future. Then we move to body paragraph 2, where we argue for sport and health and recreation. Here we make a justification that sports and recreation charities are even more essential for the government to finance. And the justification is that the prevention is better than the cure, meaning that it is better to stop illness through a healthy lifestyle than treating the illness later in life. This is backed up by an example that I just made up, where I cite a fake Oxford University study that discovered that exercises reduces weight, which is obviously true, and extends people's lives. Therefore, I decide to write a conclusion clearly stating that sports and recreation should get government funding over health, as it reduces the state's spending on health. Now it's time for a task. So arrange the essay paragraphs into the correct order so that you have an introduction, a body paragraph 1, a body paragraph 2, and a conclusion. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Now let's take a look at the correct arrangement. Now, I would pause the video and compare the completed written essay to the outline in order to discover how to translate one into the other. That brings us to the end of writing part 1 and essay. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been educational. But before I wrap up, I just want to give you one final tip. Structure is as important as grammatical range and accuracy. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we'll take a look at the writing part 2 overview and letter writing. In this video, we're going to go through part 2, task information, discuss letter conventions, look at the opening and closing formula for letters, check out how to write clear opening sentences, begin analyzing functional language, in this case, complaining, and lastly, drafting an action plan. But before you get started, it is a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit so you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it to a different device and use a highlighting tool for note-taking. Task information. Just like in writing part 1, the word limit is between 220 and 260 words. Choose only one task from a choice of 3. Here you have the option of writing a letter, a review, a report, or a proposal. In the same way as part 1, The Part 2 question will inform you what you have to write, why you are writing, and who you are writing to. Letter conventions. Openings and closings. There is an array of different ways to open and close a letter. The choice is dependent on the letter recipient. Formal letters, such as job applications, have a range of openings and closings, as well as informal letters, like a letter to a friend. Now it is time for a task. Opening and closing letters. Add the opening and closing formula to either the formal or informal sections. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Now let's have a look at the answers. Formal opening formula. Dear Mr., Mrs. or Ms. and add the recipient. Dear Sir or Madam. To whom this may concern, which you would use when you do not know who you are writing to. Informal opening formula. Hi and the recipient's name. Hello and the recipient's name. And dear and the recipient's name. Formal closing formula. Yours faithfully, yours sincerely, and kind regards, or just regards. Informal closing formula. Take care, all the best, talk to you soon, and best wishes. So now let's have a look at some more letter conventions. Now, one very important aspect of beginning or opening a letter is clearly stating at the beginning your purpose for writing. However, the style of sentence, that being formal or informal, will differ considerably depending on the reader or type of letter you are writing. Therefore, it is time for another task, so you can discover some of the introductory sentences. Match the types of letters below to the opening sentences. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. So let's take a look at the answers. A complaint letter. I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction. This is clearly a conventional opening complaint sentence to a company. Furthermore, you could replace dissatisfaction with many other nouns, such as frustration, annoyance, etc. Requesting advice from a friend. I just thought I'd get in touch with. Now, we know that this is a friend, as the phrasal verb get in touch is colloquial, and get some tips is an informal way of saying receive some advice. Response, letter to a friend. Getting back to you. Now this means to reply, and it must be to someone you know well, as it is very conversational language. Resignation letter. I regret to inform you that I will resign from my current position. Now this is clearly bad news. It is also formal and evidently to your employer. Description letter to a friend. Now this is obviously conversational language, as the phrase ins and outs of something means to give details or characteristics or describe something. Furthermore, the verb update is defined as give current information. And the last one, job application letter. I'm writing to apply for, you can add a job or position in that place. And instead of position, you could also write job or role. Functional language. Each task or piece of writing has a different purpose, so therefore requires a different style of language. We think about the task in functional terms. The function of a type of writing could be complaining, recommending, or explaining, and many more. For example, you could write many types of letters, and one of them could be a complaint letter. Therefore, let's do a task that demonstrates the types of phrases and sentences you could use to write such a complaint letter. Functional language complaining. For each of the complaint sentences, fill in the missing words. Now, pay attention to and note down the phrases in bold, as it will be helpful in any complaint letter. Furthermore, most of the missing words are prepositions, as many students get these wrong in completing these phrases. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. Welcome back. Now let's discover the answers. Number 1. I'm dissatisfied with the product and service that I have received. Number 2. In my opinion, your course has been a total waste of my time and money. Number 3. I'm writing to complain about the sales staff at your Boston branch. I'm sorry to say this, but your company has fallen well short of my expectations. Number 5. It was disappointing to be spoken to so rudely by members of your so-called customer service team. Number 6. I'm afraid there is a problem with the internet connection in our room. Number 7. I'm hoping you can help me, as there seems to be something wrong with the program I purchased from your company last month. And number 8. We will not use your service again, as your products are overpriced when compared to your competitors. Now, let's have a look at creating an action plan. Choose the task that you believe you can write the best answer to. Read the question carefully. Underline the key points. Based on the task you choose, think about what style and conventions you need to use, using opening or closing sentences, for example. Consider what functional language you have to implement. Write a short plan before writing. Write and proofread. So let's take a look at an example complaint letter question from the exam. You recently had an unpleasant experience when you were shopping in a department store. One of the assistants wrongly accused you of shoplifting. Although you were able to prove that you had paid for the item in question, you received no apology. Write a letter to the manager of the shop saying why you were angry and disappointed, and asking for some kind of compensation for the way you were treated. Say that you will take further action if you do not receive an official apology. Write your letter. You do not need to include a postal address. Now it's time for a task. Match the definitions below to the vocabulary in bold in the complaint letter. This vocabulary could be useful in any complaint letter. Pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. So let's take a look at the answers. The first one. Inexplicably. Now this means in a way that cannot be accounted for or explained. Exacerbated. To increase irritation, severity, or bitterness. Compensation. Something given or received in order to make up for a loss or damage. Wrongdoing. Behavior or action that is bad, immoral, etc. Conduct. Personal behavior or a way of acting. Docked. To deduct from wages or pay. Forthcoming. Ready or available when expected or required. To make matters worse. To make an already unpleasant or difficult situation more so. And that's the end of part 2, overview and letter writing. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it has helped you to understand letter writing conventions. But before I leave, I just want to give you one final tip. Clarity is key to writing letters. The marker needs to know who you are writing to and why. And don't forget to do the practice activities and quizzes in this module to consolidate the techniques you've just learnt. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we're going to take a look at review writing, how to formulate an engaging review. We're going to go over task information. I will also demonstrate how to write more engaging sentences, show you how to structure a review, and state the review features and conventions, explain how to create a catchy title, and teach the functional language of giving or expressing opinions. And lastly, go through review vocabulary. But before you get started, it's a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit so you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it to a different device and use a highlighting tool for note-taking. Task information. Reviews are usually written for a magazine, newspaper, or website. The aim is to describe and express your opinions of the restaurant, book, or film. The functional language that is usually used in reviews are description, evaluation, recommendation, or giving opinions. The purpose is to inform and to entertain. Thus, the language needs to be engaging, which we will look at later in this video. The style is semi-formal. This is due to the fact that you are able to, and should, express your personal opinions, which means that it is slightly less formal than, say, essays, proposals, and reports. How to create engaging sentences. In order to create a captivating sentence, leave the most necessary or interesting information till the end. This is the info that, if left out, would not give the sentence any meaning. This is usually the subject of the sentence, or the description of the subject. This, therefore, keeps the reader hooked and wanting to read till the end. Just to note, don't use this formula all the way through your piece of writing, as you need to show structural diversity. However, it is useful in introductions to create instant intrigue in your writing. Therefore, let's compare two sentences so as to work out what is the most crucial or fascinating info. Sentence 1. The Witch is considered the most terrifying film of the last decade among horror aficionados. Now, this is an okay sentence, and it's grammatically accurate, but it's not as intriguing as it could be. So let's have a look at the second one. So let's have a look at the second sentence. There is a consensus among horror aficionados that the most terrifying film of the last decade is The Witch. Now, the second sentence, this keeps the reader asking questions as they read. What is the consensus among horror aficionados? What is the most terrifying film of the last decade? Etc. The subject and adjectives describing the subject are withheld to the end. Now it's time for an exercise. Rewrite the sentence from a book review in a more engaging way. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Let's check out the answer. Zadie Smith, the 25-year-old author from London, has been hailed by a publisher as the new Ernest Hemingway. So what Zadie Smith is being hailed as, or what literary great she's being compared to, is far more interesting than how old she is or where she's from. Thus, the more fascinating information is withheld to the end. Now, rewrite the sentence from a film review in a more engaging way. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. So, let's have a look at a possible answer. In the rewritten sentence, adapted from Frank Herbert's 1960s opus, was added first, as this is relatively boring factual information. However, June is dense, moody, and quite often sublime, was put second, as it expressed a fascinating personal opinion, and it used interesting adjectives to describe the film. Rewrite the sentence from a restaurant review in a more intriguing way. Thus, pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So, let's have a look at a possible answer. Now again, the subject, in this case the restaurant name, is withheld to enhance suspense in the reader as to what great restaurant is being written about. And the fact that it won a Michelin star is by far the most interesting piece of information here. Hence, it is added at the end. The first sentence, when finding out the wine list is well chosen at the end, is anticlimactic when you already know that the restaurant has a Michelin star. The review structure. Now, you always start off with a title, and I will explain to you how to create an engaging one very soon. Then you move on to an introduction. Here you add some factual information on the subject. For example, the author of the book, the director of the film, or when the play is opening. Now remember, it does not have to be factual. If you don't actually have the correct information at hand, you can make it up. The next paragraph is a description. Here you're going to describe the restaurant or hotel, etc., or summarize the story of a film, book, or play. The next paragraph is an evaluation. So here you're going to state what you liked or did not like about it. Much of the content of the text should be devoted to the writer's opinion than facts about the subject. And in the last paragraph, you'll write a conclusion. Here you will explain why you would or would not recommend it. Titles. The title should be no more than 5 words maximum. Therefore, be concise. You can leave out articles, prepositions, and linking words. It does not have to be grammatically accurate. Being succinct is the key. Also, allude to how you feel about the film, restaurant, or book. The title should correlate positively or negatively with the review. And finally, hook the reader. As this is also a piece of entertainment, you should entice the reader to want to continue reading. Now it's time for a task. Which is the best review title for the film Minari, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. And the answer is Minari, a heartwarming family tale. Now this is because it alludes to how the reviewer feels about the film. It also hooks the reader into wanting to know more about the film by the fact that it is heartwarming. The first one doesn't tell you anything about how the reviewer feels. Which is the best review title for the book Blood Meridian, and why? Therefore, pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. And the answer is Violence, Depravity, the American West. Now this is due to the fact that the second title is not concise enough. It uses too many words. You don't need the noun book, the preposition about, and the linking word and. These words add nothing to the overall meaning and feeling behind the title. Lastly, which is the best review title for the British History Museum, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. And the answer is World History Under One Roof. Now the first title does not hook the reader. Old stuff, this is not very alluring. However, knowing that there are historical artifacts from all over the world in one place very much is. So let's take a look at the functional language of giving opinions. Now use this type of language sparingly. This is because reviews are still relatively formal. Thus much of the language needs to be fairly neutral. Hence, this type of language mostly is used in the evaluation and conclusion paragraphs, as these sections are used to express your personal thoughts on the subject. Now it's time for a task. So for each of the giving opinion sentences, fill in the missing words. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So let's take a look at the answers. Number 1. To my mind, Nomadland captures modern-day America like no other film. Number 2. My impression is the hotel staff have no interest in the welfare of their guests. Number 3. Speaking personally, I found the book to be a bit of a slog. Number 4. It seems to me that no one cares whatsoever what went into preparing the meals. Number 5. I'm under the impression that this biography was written without the permission of the subject. Number 6. As far as I'm concerned, this is the most dynamic and well-run bar in all of the Algarve. Number 7. I believe that every spa in Auckland ought to emulate Indulgence Days Resort. And number 8. I'm of the opinion that no novelist alive today creates such rich, three-dimensional characters like Jonathan Franzen. Now take note of all of the phrases in bold. You can use these in any review to express your personal opinion. Now it's time for a vocabulary task. The vocabulary in bold in this task will be useful for any book review. Match the definitions below to the vocabulary in bold in the book review. So pause now and press play when you're ready to go on. So let's take a look at the answers. In a nutshell, now this phrase means to summarize concisely or in a few words. Unfolds. Now this verb means to become clear through systematic exposition. Prodigy. Now this noun means a young person or child who has extraordinary talent or ability. Shot to fame. Now this phrase means to attain stardom or popularity quickly. Must read. Now this noun is a piece of writing that should be read. A page turner. Now this noun is a book so exciting that one is compelled to read it rapidly. Debut. Now this is the first public appearance of a piece of artwork. Settings. Now these are the places and the times of a story. And that brings us to the end of part 2, review writing. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been informative. But before I leave, I just want to give you one final tip, and that is to entertain your reader. Now this piece of writing is supposed to make the reader want to continue. They want to read and be entertained. Don't forget to do the practice activities and quizzes in this module to consolidate the techniques that you've just learned. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we'll take a look at part 2, report writing, how to draft a coherent report. In this video, we're going to go over task information, make clear how to structure a report, define and practice creating topic sentences, look at the functional language of recommending and suggesting, and lastly, review linking words. But before you get started, it's a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit so that you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it to a different device and use a highlighting tool for note-taking. Task information. Now the target reader for this task is usually a boss or a superior, someone who requires specific information, for example a college principal or a line manager. Now the aim is to assess a situation or a place objectively. This includes looking at the positives and negatives and making suggestions on how to improve the situation or thing. The functional language used in this task are descriptions, suggestions, or recommendations. As the text is for a manager or superior, the style should be formal and neutral. The report structure. Now most reports require a title, which we looked at in the previous video. However, reports also require subheadings for each body paragraph. Now, as reports are read by superiors who are usually busy, they need to be able to access the information they need without reading the entire report. Thus, subheadings should be simple and clear. In the introduction, state the reason for writing. Body paragraphs. Now find the 3 content points in the task outline, and these will form the basis of your 3 body paragraphs. Usually the conclusion will be a simple recommendation. So now it's time for a task. So read the report task question and discover who is the target reader. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. And the answer is the local council. So as stated earlier, you'll always write to a superior. Next, what is the aim? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the aim is to always assess a situation or a place. In this case, the answer is write a report saying what the effect the shopping centre might have on the local environment and the community. Lastly, what are the content points? So, pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. So, the 3 content points are: state the positive aspects of the shopping mall. This will be body paragraph 1. State the negative aspects of the shopping centre. This will be body paragraph 2. And make suggestions on how more negative aspects could be improved. This will be body paragraph 3. Topic sentences. Now, topic sentences introduce or summarize the theme of the paragraph. The purpose is that it allows the reader to know precisely the intention of the specific part of writing. It is usually the first or sometimes the last sentence. But I would say for the CAE exam, always put it at the first, as it is much easier to read that way. Now it's time for a task. What is the topic sentence of the paragraph? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. And the answer is the advantages, both environmentally and socially, of the new St. Luke's shopping centre on Ottery Town are numerous. This sentence, therefore, tells the reader what will come next. Foremost, the residents are now finally able to shop within their own town. Is a social advantage that the new St. Luke's Mall has brought to Ottery Town. And the last sentence, the ecological benefit being that carbon-producing car journeys to Skipton Mall, 11 miles away, have drastically decreased, is a positive environmental advantage. Again, what is the topic sentence of the paragraph? Pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. And the answer is, there are a range of changes that I would highly recommend implementing. Once more, what is the topic sentence of the paragraph? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. And the answer is, the factor that had the most pronounced impact on the expansion of international travel has been globalization. Functional language, recommending and suggesting. Now, the purpose of this language is to advise or present your ideas as worthy. Now, this language is quite personal. It's all about what you think should happen. Finally, you should use this language in the final paragraph, as this section requires recommendations and suggestions. Now it's time for a task. Functional language, recommending and suggesting. For each of the sentences below, fill in the missing word. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So let's have a look at the answers. Number 1. it would be a good idea to train all the volunteers before they touch down in Nairobi, as opposed to having them learn in the field. Number 2. The college should consider adding evening cooking classes to the timetable. Number 3. I would highly recommend adding more transport links to and from the shopping centre. Number 4. Extending the 171 train route would be preferable to adding a new line to the service. Number 5. Hiring a new senior data scientist is advisable, as the interns are not experienced enough to pick up the slack. Number 6. Therefore, I advocate building a children's playground on the site of the demolished building. Number 7. I suggest that your organization cease using the electronic voting machines. Number 8. You should seriously take into consideration the generous offer presented by AGS. So, take note of all the words and phrases in bold. They can be used for recommending and suggesting in any report, as linking words are excellent for connecting up your ideas. We're now going to do a little task in relation to learning that language. So match the definitions below to the linking word vocabulary in bold in the report. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. So let's take a look at the answers. Nonetheless. Now this is a synonym with however or nevertheless. Consequently. Now this is a synonym with as a result, effect, or outcome. Moreover. Now this means in addition to. You're adding more information. Paradoxically. In a contradictory way or manner. Regardless. Now this is without concern or problems. Furthermore. Now this is a synonym with moreover. This is when you want to give additional information. In addition. Again, a synonym with also or as well as. On the other hand. Now this means in contrast to. And that's the end of Advanced Part 2, Report Writing. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been entertaining. But before I leave you, I just want to give you one final tip. Ensure that the reader understands the purpose of each paragraph. Don't forget to do the practice activities and quizzes in this module to consolidate the techniques you've already learned. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we'll take a look at Advanced Part 2, Proposal Writing, how to compose a persuasive proposal. In this video, we're going to look at task information, go over proposal structure, analyze the difference between formal and informal writing, and check out the functional language of persuasion. But before you get started, it's a good idea to print out the PDF handout of this unit so you can easily make notes and underline key information during the tasks. Or, if you don't have a printer, you can download it to a different device and use a highlighting tool for note-taking. Task information. Now, the target reader is usually a business or an academic superior. The aim is to present suggestions and back them up with facts in order to convince the target reader to take action. The functional language is usually description, recommendation, and persuasion. And the style is formal and neutral. Proposal structure. Now, all proposals have a title, and they also have subheadings for each body paragraph to make easy reading for your superior. The introduction is usually the place where you state the aim of the proposal, and the main body paragraphs often include describing an institution, a situation, etc. Then, recommending improvements or additions to this institution or situation. and convince the reader to implement these changes. Finally, the conclusion is usually the reinforcement of the persuasion. Now it's time for a task. Who is the target reader? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. And the answer is the university. Next question. What is the aim? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. And the answer is the institution has asked students to write a proposal of what they would like to see in the center. And the next question. What are the content points? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. And the answer is, discuss what you think should be included and why in order to improve the overall experience of the student population. Formal and informal writing. Each task requires a different style of writing. So essays, formal letters to bosses or employers, reports and proposals are all formal. Reviews, however, are semi-formal. And informal letters, such as letters to friends and family, are all informal. Now it's time for a task. So which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. So, the informal sentence is the first one, because this is an active sentence. The subject does the verb to the object. On the other hand, the second sentence is formal. This is due to the fact that it's a passive sentence. The next one. Which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So, the first sentence is formal. This is due to the fact that there are no abbreviations. However, the second sentence is informal. This uses an abbreviation. Next, which is the formal and informal sentence and why? Pause the video and press play when you're ready to review. So, the first sentence is formal. This is because it avoids contractions. On the other hand, the second sentence is informal, as it uses a contraction. Next, which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. So, the first sentence is informal. This is because you use a phrasal verb. In formal sentences, you want to avoid phrasal verbs. Next, which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? Pause the video and press play when you're ready to go on. So, the first sentence is informal. This is because you do not use colloquial words and phrases in formal sentences. On the other hand, in formal sentences, you want to use formal words and phrases, like furthermore, whereas, or on the other hand. Next question. Which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? Pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So, the first sentence is formal. This is because you always write out the organization name in full, and then put the acronym in brackets after it. From that point on, you can just use the acronym. In this case, WHO. Next, which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. And the formal sentence is the second. This is due to the fact that you should use specific vocabulary. Avoid generic verbs such as get, have, and take. These all have multiple meanings, so use their specific meaning. So get, for example, can mean receive or understand. In this case, we use received. And lastly, which is the formal and informal sentence, and why? Pause the video and press play when you're ready to progress. The formal answer is the first. This is due to the fact that you should be succinct. The second sentence read, driving quickly against each other. Now this can all be summed up with one verb, race. Now let's have a look at functional language, persuasion. Now the purpose of persuasion is to convince the reader to believe in an idea or an opinion, or to get them to do something. Now it's time for a task. Functional language, persuading. So, for each sentence below, fill in the missing word. So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. So let's take a look at the answers. Number 1. There's no denying the fact that this is a very generous offer. Number 2. Management must admit that the IT department is in dire need of an overhaul. Number 3. I can tell you from experience that these products are of excellent quality. Number 4. It is essential for our subsidiaries to act now in order to cut costs. Number 5. The Council is being strongly urged to vote in favour of expanding the bus route. Number 6. I'm sure that you will agree that the package on offer is excellent value for money. Number 7. We can assure you that building a sound infrastructure is an excellent long-term strategy. Number 8. I'm certain you will not regret taking advantage of the low share price. So take note of all of the phrases in bold, as they can be used in any situation where you need to persuade. Now it's time for the final task. Why are the words and phrases in bold informal? And how can you make them formal? So pause the video and press play when you're ready to continue. Let's look at the first one. So instead of CAU, we could write California Arts University, and then in brackets, put the acronym. From this point on, in the writing, you can use just the acronym. Next, instead of worse for wear, we decided to go with in a state of deterioration. This is due to the fact that worse for wear is a very colloquial adjective. Next, instead of I am, we wrote the student union is. Well, this is due to the fact that I is very personal, and this is a very neutral piece of writing. Therefore, always remove yourself, such as I and we. Next, instead of you will, we used you will. This is because you will is a contraction. We want to avoid these in formal writing. Next, instead of one final thing, which is a very colloquial linking word, we use lastly. Next, instead of uni, we wrote out university. This is due to the fact that you want to avoid abbreviations. However, this is not a hard and fast rule, because if you've used university earlier in the writing, you may want to use uni at some point to show your range of vocabulary, but definitely use uni later down in the essay. Now, say is too generic. We use the word say in many ways, such as promise, whisper, or in this case, reveal. Lastly, instead of a really cool opportunity, this is too colloquial. This is a very colloquial adjective. Therefore, we went with an amazing. And that's the end of Advanced Part 2, Proposal Writing. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been clear and entertaining. Now, Before you leave, I just want to give you one final tip. Don't overthink what you've learned. Focus on expressing the ideas and things you want to say in your writing. Remember, do the practice activities and quizzes in this module to consolidate the techniques you've just learned. So, as this is the final video, I wish you the best of luck in your exam. Congratulations, you did it. And that concludes the writing section of the exam. I really hope that you not only enjoyed this aspect of the course, but that you also found it really useful in terms of improving your writing in general. The skills you've acquired on this course will enhance any type of English writing you do for the rest of your life, not just for the CAE exam. So make sure you keep hold of all of your notes. Also remember to do all the additional practice activities and quizzes that are included in this module. These are really valuable in helping you to strengthen and solidify the knowledge you've already gained in these videos. And if I have to give you one final piece of advice, I would consider practicing each type or style of writing that you've learned, then working with an experienced home studies English tutor, myself or another teacher, to ensure that you're correctly using and implementing all of the writing theories and techniques that you've learned. If that sounds like something that would benefit you, then contact Home Studies for more information. And finally, I wish you the best of luck in the writing section. I truly believe that if you apply everything that you've learned, you will do well.